opportunity to learn.
So if there are 5% who are in charters,
Yes.
well then why can't we just simply say, okay, of this whole pie, there are 5% in charters, there are X% in magnet schools, there are X% in trade schools, there are X% in these schools, and say, let's accept all of it. Because there are people who do not want charters, who do not want trade schools. I mean, that's the battle.
There will always be battles, but not much is accomplished through battles. It's when we come together. For example, dispelling false narratives. The narratives that our public school system has failed the African American community is a false narrative. Let me ask you, how many people here went to a public school? This is Howard University, the majority. Howard University, one of the greatest institutions in our country, and the majority of those here graduated and finished from a public school. So let's start there. Does that not mean that we need to make some gains? Does that not mean? No. It does mean that we need to address some issue, but it's a false narrative. The narrative starts because when most people talk about whether it's a good school or bad school, we're talking about tests. Now, there's clear data that says that whether or not a student performs well on their test has as much to do with what happens outside of the school than what happens inside of the school. So if you have a system where there's clear economic disparities, the public school system is only going to emulate those. If students are going to school and they're hungry, if students are going to school, they can't access counselors. Let's talk about those things. So the question is not whether or not choice is a black choice. The question is, why is choice only a black choice? Because in white communities, they're not met with this decision because they have the counselors, they have the resources and everything.
Kickstart your day at 7 and get the news you need from the perspective you want. News 1 Now with Roland Martin. Every weekday morning at 7 on TV 1.